Hey, welcome to another episode of Awaken and Ascend. I am Jennifer Regular, your host, and I so appreciate that you're tuning in, especially if you're here every week to catch the next episode, or if you're here for the first time, I welcome you. I am the founder of Lighting the Path and the Leadership Ascension Alliance, and I started this podcast to offer opportunities to reflect, to contemplate, to explore new ideas and inspirations to guide you on your path of elevated leadership, self leadership in every area of your life, not just your work, but also in your home life and in your relationships and the way that you spend your personal time. And being able to further develop and evolve as a soul and discover perhaps new parts of yourself that you didn't know were there and that want to be expressed and that are emerging for you. And that often involves different interviews with people from around the world, global change makers, leaders, those of us who've been on a transformational journey and have seen all the defining moments and pivots and the darkness and found the light again and are sharing our ways of being able to navigate those rough waters when they show up and how you can be the highest version of yourself and really elevate the way that you live and lead your life. Sometimes it's a solo podcast where I share some of the ideas of what's alive and fresh for me in the moment. And today I was reflecting on, have you ever felt like I did today, where you feel like you're in the flow and everything's going really well and you're in a positive mood and you're laughing, and then you get a text or an email or a phone call, or someone cuts you off in traffic, and all of that ease and empowerment and joy suddenly becomes anger or fear or guilt or frustration, some level of discontent, something that disturbs you, something that disturbs that good mood and attitude that you had even just a few minutes ago, something that disturbs your flow, that throws you off balance. And that can happen even to the best of us, those of us who meditate every day, go through our affirmations and follow our different practices because this is just part of the human experience. We get to experience all of the things that go on in a day and build our capacity to receive it, to accept it, to navigate it, and learn what it's really teaching us. These are just circumstances that show up that help us to see and give us an opportunity of what might be throwing us off balance. Because it's never actually that person that sent the email or the phone call or that, threw you off traffic and, you had to honk your horn or anything like that. It actually goes to show you just how centered and where you're operating from, how centered you are, how grounded you actually are. Are you operating from your sacred center, or is there something that you're sacrificing and suddenly something happens and you resent that situation or that person because it affects the way that you are moving in the world. It affects the way that you're seeing your reality. It affects your outcome that you may subconsciously be attached to, that you need things to be a certain way, that you can't do the thing and have the outcome that you want or the impact you want unless things are just so. And then we lose that sense of control, right? Something throws us off. And it's not usually, like I said, that person or the situation. It's just activating a deeper need. It might be a need to come back and return to your center, to take a moment to ground yourself, see where you're at, find out why it is you got swept away from that in the first place, not to judge yourself for it, not to say, oh, I should know better than this, or, nothing like that. No, it's looking at maybe there's a boundary that needs to be set. Maybe that resentment or that anger that shows up suddenly at that email, that text, or that phone call is because there's a boundary that's not quite clear. Or there's something that you need in that relationship or with that person. Could be a boss, it could be a family member, whoever it might be, that there's something there that feels like it brings up a sense of fear, obligation, or guilt. It could be something that you feel misunderstood. And so there's a need for that understanding. There's a need to feel loved. There's a need to feel honored for your time and your energy. There's a need to feel like you didn't do anything wrong. So why are you hurting this way with me and, you know, moving into my lane? without signaling or like giving some space for that and just kind of showing up in front of you and creating an obstacle. Creating an obstacle. So, why is that obstacle showing up in your life? What is out of alignment and out of balance? We thought we were in the flow, thought we were in a good mood, and yet something threw us off so easily, it seems. And all it is shining some light on a need that's going unmet in that moment. It's showing us a need for a boundary, perhaps, or a different attitude, or a different approach to what we're doing, or that we've gone into automatic and become so tunnel visioned about something that something there came in to distract us from that. And so it's interesting too because it doesn't necessarily create resistance, it just creates an opportunity to see what needs to happen next. Maybe there's a misstep, and so that's just bringing us back into a place where, okay, where am I missing a beat here? What boundary needs to be set? What need is going unmet? Am I in a place of control and performance and pressure? Or am I actually in a space of being on purpose and being present and allowing whatever shows up for us to lead us into the next step? And so it's interesting how things can feel chaotic, especially in the world today, and to not get caught up on that version of reality and to go deeper into what the deeper truth is in that and what is actually unfolding for you and what's unfolding for the world. You see, the earth and ourselves and our relationships are dynamic. They're always in motion, they're always moving. And so we need to create that space of stillness where we can pause and just have a minute to actually integrate and assimilate all that's happening. Because we're taking in everything all the time, but if we're so focused on the one thing and then something else comes into that picture, then it can rattle us and disturb our nervous system and put us into that fight or flight response, right? Or freeze or fun where we don't do anything, right? Or we get confused and it's a bit dizzying at the time. So it's just another sign that it's time to come back into alignment with where we want to be operating from, whether it's fear or out of love, whether it's out of fear, obligation, and guilt, or it's out of a sense of presence and purpose, and to make sure that we come back to our sacred center, that we're not sacrificing our time and our energy into other people's expectations and needs, that we're operating from our sacred center and really getting back to the etymology of sacrifice. And what that actually means is to make sacred, to make sacred. So coming back into our heart space, moving from that center of love, radical compassion, acceptance, and knowing that all is actually well and in divine order. And we don't have to do anything to try to get back our control. No, all we need to do is get back into alignment, ground ourselves, and move forward in a stronger way that comes from our heart space and not immediately go into our head space and come up with all ideas and judgments of what's going on and just allow us to accept that this is what's happening. This is what is so in our life right now. And what's the best way to move forward in that? Will it come through a place of love or will it come through a place of fear? We always have that choice. So whenever you feel yourself getting rattled and disturbed in some way, recognize it for what it is, just to call back to your center, to realign and refocus and move forward in the way that you want to be operating from, that is balanced in your truth. Let me know if you ever experienced that where you're feeling amazing and then the next moment something happens and it just throws you totally off course and what you do about it. How do you interpret those kind of situations? Maybe you have some advice too for the rest of us. So thank you so much for joining me today on Awaken and Ascend. We hope to see you next time and check out the playlist. There might be some other topics there that would be of interest to you, may inspire you, may give you some new ideas. there's always so much that is shared in these episodes, especially when I'm interviewing those change makers. So be sure to check that out too and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This could actually change your whole trajectory of your life. Bye for now.